Hey guys, Desolate Magic here, and it's time for the much-awaited part 2 of Mark Rosewater trying to justify why Strixhaven is what it is. And, well, because they really know the state of just Magic in general right now, he really took some softball questions and then one little tricky one at the end. So, hopefully in this final part 2, he took all the hard questions. He does occasionally take questions that are, like, accusatory and stuff. He just gives ridiculously misleading answers, just outright lies, sidestepping it, making excuses, blaming other people. Why hasn't this clown been fired yet? Anyway, let's start with the first question. Boy, is this stupid. How many 80s high school movie tropes did you put on the exploratory whiteboard? Who cares? Honestly, who cares? The entire set is like a giant amalgamated walking stereotype. So he says, nowadays I like to make sure I'm well versed in the trope space of every set. So that's why it's so cringe with stupid old man dad humor. I'm not even going to read the rest of this. I could care less. Next question. Love all the new colorless spells and avatars. Oh, another ass kisser. Was the team tempted at all to have Eldrazi appear here? Before even reading the reply, I guarantee you the answer was yes. Okay, first word, no. We really want to establish that colorless can mean things other than just the Eldrazi. That was one set. Well, one block. I'm pretty sure people associate colorless with artifacts and, well, primarily golems. Oh no, guys, 2 sets out of the 100 and some they've made had Eldrazi. Now everybody's going to permanently associate colorless with Eldrazi. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. So he says, well, it was a really good fit for Zendikar. Well, what did it do to Modern? So I guess you're wrong. There are a lot of other things we can do with colorless spells. For example, I really like that in Strixhaven it represents the first year classes that every student is forced to take. Oh, I super didn't catch on to that. And then I guess you don't pick your official college at Strixhaven until your second year. Okay. Makes sense. I mean, that's kind of what my college did. It was 1 semester because 4-year colleges are a giant waste of time. So next up, Mark. Lower hold was a blast. Oh my gosh, it's almost like he's surrounded by ass-kissing zombies. Just attention-whoring waste of space on the garbage platform that is Twitter. So yes, Lower Hold was a blast, not only for the awesome cards. The spirits don't even fly and all it is a Russian boost set. Shut up. So, blah, 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 it's different from Boros. It's literally Boros. Prismari and Quandrix on the other side didn't seem as different from their Ravnican counterparts. Is it because red-white has more design space to explore than blue-red or blue-green? Blue-green can do literally anything. That is the most flexible least identity. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. Blue-red, yeah, that's spell spamming bullshit. It always has been, always will be. But for the record, the entire set is spell spamming bullshit. I mean, have you seen the 3-color, primarily lower hold but splash black rush set? It's a turn 4 kill, unblockable. Real treat to play against that pile of garbage. Anyway, he says, for starters, I'm eager for all of you to play the set because I think Prismari and Quandrix are further away from Izzet and Simic, respectively, than you think. Prismari was the hardest one to separate from their equivalent guild because we're in a Spells Matter set, unfortunately. And the one guild that had that theme was Izzet. See, I mean, even he agrees with me that it's just spell spammers. Izzet was a tempo deck. There is no such thing as a tempo deck, by the way, but that's a different video. Read the definition of a tempo deck. If your deck doesn't meet that requirement, then it's either extremely exotic or you built your deck wrong. Every deck is a tempo deck. There are tempo decks, and then there's getting your curve wrong. Anyway, he says, we pushed in the opposite direction. Prismari is a control deck. Because that's what Standard needed. The idea with Prismari is that you use your resources to stall until you can cast large spells with grandiose effects. I mean, yeah, it reminds everybody of the Hydroid Crisis times, which was, I guess, like the Return to Ravnica set. But even then, a lot of the cards that ramped and bombed were not actually from that pseudo block. So he says, Quandrix uses +1/+1 counters to define the size of fractals, but that's just to allow us to play around with making variables matter. Simic is very focused in the counters mattering, and almost none of that is present in Quandrix. Except for the entire commander deck that's based on Quandrix. Anyway, I think there's another factor at play here, which you touched on. Red-white is the color pair that's most often represented The same from set to set. Red and white are the two most aggressive colors, so making a red-white archetype, the aggro one, is set in the set is just the easiest thing to do. So that's what they did because they're lazy and uncreative. Because we like having aggro archetypes, you shouldn't. It's standard, and there aren't a lot of color pairs that are great at it. We lean on red-white to do that quite a bit. That means when you see a red-white faction that's not doing that, it stands out more and seems more novel. Yeah, except mono white has the widest removal via universal exiling. Red has the absolute best boosts in the game for dirt cheap. And then mono white also has life gains. So nobody's like, I'm going to build the mixed color archetype. That's all gold cards. No, you throw in all the overpowered broken shit that makes your deck unbeatably perfect. That's why they just need to drop red-white as a color combination, or just do a couple neat little 5, 6, 7 cost whatever, and don't make it like a thing. Like, you don't actually have to make it a thing, except, well, okay, it wasn't an entire college this time. But why don't they do a set where there's like 2 major color combinations of 2 different colors, and then the rest are mono? They keep acting like that would be so unbalanced. It absolutely would not be from a standard constructed standpoint. Now, draft, pre-release, the color-coded packs and all that, that would be a mess. But that's a problem that they got themselves into, okay? They created that issue all by themselves. Mathematically and for the health of the game, it would be better if they stopped trying to do stuff so symmetrically. Hell, I've been a big proponent of printing a set that drops a color completely. Just, on this plane, black mana usage, and either the ley lines don't exist, they were destroyed, or it's disallowed. And then when you come back, it's like, ooh, the big, insurgency, the big, the black mana revolt, and now we're fighting the black mana mages, and now it's a 5-color set. But just, I'd love to see them do it for once. But, oh no, we gotta have 5 Planeswalker decks, and 5 this and that and the other thing, and draft packs, and other dumb Walmart crap. So next up, how did you decide on making the red-white faction focus on the graveyard instead of any black school? I would have said black mana aligned school, but okay. We started making our factions by figuring out what flavor matched the general philosophy of the color conflict. For example, once it became clear that red-white's conflict focused mostly on society, chaos and order deal with the larger system, he's really overthinking this. At the end of the day, you can do all this high-level theory crap, but then if the set turns out to be broken garbage that everybody hates, which Strixhaven, I've seen more hated sets. I mean, Ikoria and Throne of Eldraine were quite literally the worst 2 sets ever made in the history of the game. So, like, by that bar, this is like a solid 3 out of 10, but yeah, Strixhaven was just not well received. So all this, well, here's why we really did it. Yeah, but look at the end result and then say to yourself, should we have stuck to this, theory, color pie, conflict, all this philosophical crap, or should you have just printed cards that work and then BS'd your way through it like you usually do? Just make it work with the rules and the lore and all this and the color pie. Just kind of, shove it in there. Get out the crowbar and make it work. So blah, 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 something about relationships between people. Who gives a crap? We were intrigued by having it be the college that cared the most about people. They literally avoid people and go talk to statues and ghosts. What the hell is he talking about? So that led us down the path to it being the history college. That's really still not people, but okay. We then used the flavor as a jumping off point to figure out mechanical execution. What should a faction caring about history be focused on? The graveyard, as it represents the past. No, it doesn't. Once the game starts, that's when the graveyard fills up. Your graveyard is not pre-populated. It does not represent the past. It's the past of the game, the battle. Because remember, initially, way long ago, it was battles between planeswalkers, and then we would summon the creatures actually from another plane, and we could draw mana from other planes. That was the pre-mending thing. And by the way, you as the player is a planeswalker. Little necessary detail there. And sometimes if a planeswalker was losing and retreated, because they couldn't actually die, they would just retreat because they're like, I'm losing. So that's what happens when you drop to 0. They would leave some of their summons behind and they would become stranded and stuff. And there was all these wacky stuff going on in the books. But yeah, your match was the battle. Your graveyard was what happened during the battle. It's not, it's kind of the past because it represents 1 minute in the past. Wrong. It's like Mark doesn't even have a fundamental understanding of the game after, 20 years? That's pretty sad. So he tries to justify it. I'm not going to read the rest. It's all BS. The next person says, Now with things like the Mystical Archive offering a way to put storm scale mechanics, and what they mean by that is high numbers on the storm scale mechanics, in a standard set draft environment, which that was a disaster, will we be seeing more of those, or seeing those more often? Hopefully not. Any person who has their head screwed on straight and has a basic understanding of the game knows that it is such a bad idea to take broken crap from Magic's history, like modern grade, commander grade cards, and just kind of toss them into a pack. It completely ruined the sealed format and completely ruined drafts. I did one draft and I was like, well, there goes the luck pool variance, and just gave up. I'm not doing another draft of Strixhaven as long as I live, and I never bothered to do a sealed event. What an absolute joke it is to have stupid shit in there like, oh, just get a bunch of free mana on turn 1. So his answer is the Mystical Archive is us experimenting with using a bonus sheet as a way to supplement a limited environment. Why would you want to do that without having to impact standard? Leave limited alone. It's supposed to be low powered. God, that's like the last format that's kind of low powered. You're like, oh, let's see if we can put some more power in it. No, stop it. Shut up. If it's popular and early signs are enthusiastic, yes. Oh, let me stop you right there, Mark. Isn't the average Mystical Archive card like under 50 cents? I think it's like 20 cents. Like there are cards out there worth like 5 cents. And I'm like, this is a special trim. Like for 20 for $1 and the investors aren't scooping these up. Nobody wants these. And I cannot, for the first time, even begin to explain what would cause that or why that is. I don't even have a speculation. I don't even have the faintest of idea why somebody wouldn't want them. I don't remember what the tap dancing hell is in what set, because God knows nobody on this planet does. But I think somewhere in some pack, in some language, in some product that may or may not have been delayed or come out yet, you can get a non-foil version that doesn't curl like an absolute bitch. If they're all foil, I could see why people wouldn't want them. That makes sense. There are From the Vaults that came out 10 years ago where they're all foil and people don't want them. They're like $30 on eBay. So special edition does not equal money automatically, but 9 times out of 10 it does. So I don't understand what happened here, other than, I mean, okay, I get it. Some of the cards, or the chosen card to put into that mini set and frame, were kind of like bulk common pauper crap. But even the high ones, I am not impressed at all. You look at like up to the 80, 90th percentile, doesn't even break a dollar. So like the bottom 90% of the pool ranked by price, it's terrible. They put like 3 or 4 good cards in there, and then the result was they ruined every draft and every sealed pool everywhere. So good job, dumbasses. So it's like, early signs are an enthusiastic yes. No, everybody hates them. How could you possibly think that everybody loves them? Oh, because everybody lies and kisses your ass so that you can screenshot them and make them internet famous for 3 minutes in an article. Wow. What a great place to get accurate feedback. Get off Twitter and go walk around at a convention, see who has the balls to tell you the truth to your face. I would. But if Mark saw me at a convention, he would just run. He would just bolt the other way. So anyway, I'm confident we will make use of this resource in future sets, which, I mean, he's been known to be pretty cryptic and kind of like real straight-faced about this stuff, where like it could happen 2 sets from now, and he's just like, I don't know, maybe in the future. It'll not like hint, hint, wink, wink, you might see it. But to me, I read that statement as, okay, any set that he was involved in designing does not have this in it, but they might bring it back if it's like lucrative. But it added no value and nobody cared, and there's no demand for it. So enthusiastic, not exactly how I describe it, Mark. So he says there's a lot of cool things we could do with it. So the designer in me is excited by the possibilities. Yeah, well, Mark's just excited by everything. So he's like a spider monkey. It jangles some shiny keys in front of his face. He's like, ooh, keys. Doesn't mean keys are exciting. They're really not. Next question. Did you consider including Garruk in Strixhaven at some point or not? Every single question is like, what about, Tamio? What about this not included character? Do you want every set to be War of the Spark? Do you want every set to be like, huge reveal? It's not who you expected. Who gives a shit? Plus, we had Liliana and the Wham twins. And then Casmina, as if anybody knows or cares 1 iota about her. So yeah, what a dumb question. Mark starts with, I don't believe we did. Shocking, I know. While there were story reasons to consider it, he's looking out for Rowan and Will at the end of the Throne of the Eldraine story. I guess I wouldn't know that. Maybe that's why he asked it. I don't know. Who gives a crap? The Planeswalker color balancing didn't really allow it. And that is always the answer. He has given that answer like 12 times in the last like 4 years. In fact, that was the answer to the last one. They're like, why didn't we have Davriel or whatever? And they're like, because we already had enough Black Planeswalkers. Now here's an interesting question. For once, it only took 15 minutes to find it. Was Strixhaven intended at first as a Tolarian Academy set? I've said it before, I'll say it again. Des doesn't know the lore, no surprise there, but didn't that place blow up? Doesn't it not exist? I know it's blown up at least twice. Anyway, while the Tolarian Academy, seen in Urza's Saga block among other places, is Magic's previous exploration of the Magic School genre, it came with too much pre-established baggage. What he means is all the artists and all the lore specialists were too lazy to go and reread all the novels. There were enough challenges building an enemy color spell-focused faction set without having to worry about not contradicting. That's what it says. Sure, we'll go with that. Years worth of references. Nope, they're reforming the whole school into these 5 combinations. Oh yeah, Wizards is always so cautious about retconning things. Next up, somebody asks, modal double-faced cards show up here more plentifully and diversely than any set yet. Well, yeah, they were like just invented. So it was presumably an experiment that you were betting on to be successful. Was there a plan B in place if it turned out the idea was a huge flop? Everybody hates them. They ruin drafts, you gotta sleeve everything, and it just means they have to play test 350 cards instead of like 280. Okay, probably not quite that many, but I don't trust them to do the number they're supposed to do, so. Do the sets hinge so greatly on their existence? They don't, because we had like, 100 sets that work fine without them. So with the way the timing of Magic sets works, by the time we could get feedback on Zendikar Rising, people hate double-sided cards. There's your feedback. The first set of Mdfcs, modal double-faced cards, we were already pretty locked in with Strixhaven. That's almost a sentence, but okay. If we had to make a change, it would have been without any new assets, meaning we would only use the art and frames that we already had, and we probably wouldn't have time to playtest it. Oh god, wouldn't that be terrible if they didn't properly playtest something? You know what I'd like to see is them properly playtest anything. Ever. So things would have to go disastrously wrong for us to even think about making a change, and even then, there's a limited number of things we could do. Delete the backside of the card. If it fails playtesting, you delete the back of the card. That is one of the limited number of things you could do. So next up, somebody asked, why are spirits red now? In the past, they have been mostly blue, white, and black. Spirits are red because Lorehold is the history college. Should I even read the rest? No joke, that's what he wrote. That was the first sentence. He kind of gives the example of like, well, vampires are normally black, but on Innistrad, they were red. Next up, why make a new creature type with the Inklings instead of making them a different existing type like Horror, Nightmare, Illusion that could use more support? Yeah, I'd love to hear an excuse for that. The age-old Vorthos versus Mel creature type conflict. Who the hell is Mel? I mean, who the hell is Vorthos? But like, at least I know what the term means. You say Vorthos and people are like, oh, what plane is that? It's just more elitist talk to confuse the noobs and act like a snob, okay? It's called lore monkeys. You like the lore, you like the story, you like cards that associate with them, you are a lore monkey, not a Vorthos. Vorthos sounds too much like Voltron. Lore monkey. If you walked up to your 80-year-old grandma and said, I'm a Lord of the Rings lore monkey, she'd be like, oh, so you're enthusiastic about the lore. Okay, that makes sense. No explanation needed. I am so sick of this elitist nickname everything enumeration bullshit. It's literally called enumeration. I mean, everybody's always, I'm running a Bant deck. And then all the new people are all the people who didn't bother to learn every combination are like, what the f*** are you talking about? Just say the colors or compare them to something that people universally know, not some bullshit Shard of Alara from like 200 years ago. Oh, but it's not about shortcuts. It's about, like, I know more than you. I'm better than you. I'm a better, more pro player than you, so I'm going to use these terms that you don't understand on purpose because I want to talk over your head because I'm better than you. That's why people do it. That's why people shouldn't do it. All the stupid, cutesy little bullshit that we've accumulated for enumerations, delete them all from your brain right now. Red, white is not Boros, it's candy cane. People know damn well what color a candy cane is. If I said I'm running a Christmas deck, it takes you 1 millisecond to think, oh, probably Christmas colors. You know how many different flags are red, white, and green? Pick one. There's like 7. Well, I'm running an Ireland deck. I'm running a Mexico deck. I'm not even sure those are 2 of the 7, but I'm pretty sure they're close. I always one-up these people at F&M, okay? Every time somebody says, I'm thinking about making a Rakdos deck or a Bant deck or a Sultai deck. Like every time, every single time, I will say, why don't you make it Glintai? Because then you could include this color. And people are like, what's Glintai? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I thought you were a Magic expert. I thought you were a pro, you stupid noob. Glintai is blue, black, red, green. Don't forget about Dune or Dune Brood, Ink Treader or Altruism, Witch or Witchmaw, or your Tiller or Artifice. And I love how the wiki puts or non-green. No. You don't get to say I'm running everything but green. No. Shut up. You're doing nicknames, which means we're doing nicknames, which means it's not everything but green, it's your Tiller. So you better bookmark this wiki page and start doing some studying on your little smartphone so you can continue being an arrogant elitist prick at F&M. Fucking assholes with your Vorthos and your Stultai. Shut the fuck up. Nobody thinks you're cool, they just think you're a tedious douche. Anyway, Mark Rosewater says, and I am going to correct this in real time with the new community standards that we've established in this video, the lore monkeys want cool evocative creature types and enjoy seeing new ones. Not necessarily true, but okay. The Mells, I'd replace it if I knew what the hell he was talking about, want to maximize tribal synergy. Oh, so just elf playing douches and sliver and goblin players and merfolk players. So assholes. So the assholes want to maximize tribal synergy, so they want us to reuse existing creature types rather than make new ones. I'm pretty sure just spikes would fit there, but okay. The OP net decking douches who always want their decks to become more popular, or not more popular, less popular, but more powerful, so that they could just get free wins with it. Those assholes. That's who apparently the Mells are. We split the difference in Strixhaven as we usually do, and did what we could to make both happy. Inklings and pests were created because we couldn't find existing creature types that hit the proper flavor. That's ridiculous. For the respective colleges. But we also brought back creature types like Dwarf and Efreet. Oh, for that Efreet tribal that everybody's playing. Yeah, great. To help fill out tribes that could use more cards. Unicorns and squirrels are piss off. Next up, a set that focuses on 5 color pairs tends to lead towards 5 limited archetypes instead of 10. Is there anything you do in Vision Design to make sure limited doesn't get too repetitive? If he says we threw in Mystical Archive cards, I'm going to throw this chair through my window. He says R&D always creates at least 10 archetypes for any draft. Okay, let me stop it right there. Doesn't mean they're playable or viable. In any given draft, in any given set, there's usually 2 strategies you want to shoot for. And if you can't get them off the ground with uncommon and rare support, you just lose, which is why I kind of hate draft, but okay. With a multicolor faction set focused on enemy colors, usually we create 5 3-color archetypes, okay, that match the draft strategy. For Strixhaven, as you're drafting enemy color factions, that means we make archetypes out of the 5 wedges, a color and its 2 enemies. This is because a wedge is the combination of any 2 colleges that share a color. So he wants everybody to draft 3 color. Well, let me just say, if you don't draft 3 color in Strixhaven, you are 100% going to lose, just from my limited experience that I've seen. Every single person who beat me, and now remembering it, I paid for 1 draft and then got 1 free draft token, so I actually ran 2. Every person who beat me was running 3 colors, and every single one of them was running the same 3 colors. So, yeah, they do shoot for 3 colors for all the try-hard, elitist douches who study draft like it's, going to be on the SATs. And then you just get color screwed, good 10, 15, 20% of the time and just lose because of it. So that's always fun. They do still shoot for 3-color archetypes in Limited in sets that have virtually 0 pool presence of color fixing. But then also there's one combination of 3 that just beats all the rest. So to say they made 5 and they were kind of equal instead of making 10, well, I mean, you failed on both accounts. You failed because it was a bad idea, and you failed because there's one that just wins. It's the America color combination, by the way. It's not called America, it's called shut the f*** up. If you don't know what color the American flag is, then you probably can't find your own ass with both hands and shouldn't be attempting to play a card game. So next question, plain and simple, why Ward? Because hexproof is too powerful, but leaving stuff vulnerable just means most control wins. Are you absolutely that stupid? Ward speaks for itself, and people have been asking for it forever. So he says, what's the design concept behind it? How dumb is this person? Okay, let's read this. One of the things we wanted was a keyword that makes it harder for the opponent to interact with a permanent, most often a creature, but still allows some interaction. So let me translate that. Hexproof is too much, and leaving it vulnerable means most control wins. If you don't think that I'm interpreting his words correctly, let me read the next sentence. Both hexproof and protection can often make a creature impossible to deal with. Impossible. Not impractical. Not, oh, well, there's 3 cards that can do it. Well, you could force him to sacrifice it if there's nothing else in play. No. Cut all that excuse bullshit that I always hear from the community. Mark Rosewater's own words. Both hexproof and protection can often make a creature impossible to deal with. As in, there is no card in your hand and possibly your deck or reasonably within distance of fetching or drawing that will get rid of a creature with hexproof or protection. It is overpowered and it needs to go. They should never print hexproof again as long as I'm concerned. It should all be ward. Every single set should be ward. It should be evergreen as hell. Even RPGs going back like 20, 30 years. Magic resistance or absolute magic immunity? What does the boss usually have? Just a light switch where it's out? Nope, no magic works. I guess your magic users are useless in this battle. Or, well, he's harder to target. He's a little resistant to it. It's just basic math. It's basic game design. So we experimented with lots of individual card designs, and the one that ended up playing the best was something we called Frost Armor. Basically ward for mana. Frost and Ice refer to tapping permanents and keeping them tapped for an additional turn, so I wouldn't call it Frost Armor, but okay. We liked it enough that we started making variants of it, often for things other than mana. Eventually, we reached a point where we said, we're using this enough, let's just make it a keyword. Hallelujah. So they're like, okay, how can we make this work in multiple colors? Oh, make it not always just cost mana. And then, we spread it through all the colors, and we gave it a keyword. So there you go. So Strixhaven just happened to be the next set after they finalized the mechanic, by the way. It wasn't like, oh, Strixhaven, magic resistance, mages, wizard versus wizard, it makes sense. It was just your coincidence and timing, which I actually find that very interesting. Next question. Remember, through all this, there is no such thing as a stupid question. There's only stupid people and the stupid questions that result from them being stupid. It's a joint effort. Was fractals as 0/0 creatures with 1/1 counters a bottom-up or top-down design? Don't know what that means, don't care. I guess I'll read the answer since it's like one sentence. The idea of being fractal creatures predated them being 0/0 with 1/1 counters, so I guess top-down, who cares? Envision design fractals were all 1/1 creature tokens, and most spells that created them made multiple. See, that's the thing, though. I'm sick of them just flooding, and then, well, you need trample or flying to get past. That's a little too much, because, like, how many different colors just try to hit somebody in the face with a creature at some point, and don't use tricks? I mean, how many white or blue creatures are actually flying in a set, like, percentage-wise? How many green creatures have trample, percentage-wise? So just flooding the field and be like, here, have 15 of these. Everybody running this archetype, this color combination, by default, they're going to be basically impossible to hit because they can chump block forever. Boy, did they screw that up in about, was it 2 years ago, 3 years ago with the sapling tokens? They were just untouchable. I mean, they had so many cards like Tendershoot that would just guarantee 1 to 2 get created per turn, no matter what, that you were never getting through to their life total and the game was over. So I'm glad they brought the board presence, but without the blocking ability, because that would have been just stupid. And plus, then a sweeper just turns them off, and you get the binary conditions like, oh, I did draw Blood Moon, or I didn't draw Blood Moon. So I either completely shut down your entire deck, or I didn't. If sometimes you got to stop at 2/2 and somebody's got to stop at 8/8, there's no shutting down their deck. They always have options and they always have hope. And that's what makes good Magic gameplay. I wish Wizards would recognize that. Next question. Are we ever going to see sets without Mdfcs again? Yes! Robert Wiggins at RowWiggins3 on Twitter. Digital hug. I assume you meant that in like a cutting way, not like, I love them so much I don't want them to go away. Are we ever going to see a set without them? I hope you're just like, can we stop with this bullshit for at least one set? That's what I'm reading. So he says, as I explained, when Zendikar Rising came out, Mdfcs were a thing, and we were running through the 3 premier sets, well, the non-D&D ones, okay, to give the Magic year a cohesive feel. I thought that the D&D set he said had Mdfcs, so that's, I don't know, that's interesting they just said that. So, while they might return one day, we are done with them for a while. Oh, yes! Yes! Leave a like on the video in celebration of that. I am totally not being a manipulative. Next up, somebody just with the username of Wobbles, and they got a little duck as their profile image. I mean, how could that be a bad person? They ask, how early in the process was the Mystic Archive conceived? Now, see, you could throw that into anywhere and call it anything, so I'm actually interested in this. Oh, I take it back. Twitter for iPhone sent. Come on. Who's even awake at 10:50 a.m. Wobbles? The hell's wrong with you? It was the last element added during design. My best guess, although I wasn't on the team. Does anybody ever believe that? He like literally gave examples of like exact cards and like exact things that he designed. He's like, well, I wasn't on the team. Okay. Whenever something goes wrong, he's not on the team. Whenever something goes right, he's like, I designed that card specifically myself. I got out a pen and drew it. Anyway, my best guess was about midway through set design. Yeah, they got a call from the new CEO, isn't it Chris Cox or something? Somebody said I got the name wrong. It's something Cox. And it's not John Cox the singer. I thought I had it. I think y'all just messing with me. Anyway, I bet they called up and they're like, hey, stuff more money into the set. And then they just failed miserably because they put in like 3 money cards as chasers. And I mean, maybe it upsells. Like they don't really care what the singles are worth 2 weeks after they sell all the sealed stuff, unless there's a second wave. You know, just saying. There's a very, we'll call it nearly confirmed rumor that Born of the Gods was supposed to have a second wave of printing and they canceled it. They knew so early that the set was trash and that nobody touched it. Oh, maybe it was Journey into Nyx. It was one of the two. But it was so dead on arrival, nobody was interested in playing the mechanics, so they were just a little bit too weak and not well supported, not well designed. Although I thought Constellation was nice. It worked the second time, just saying. But word is they canceled the second print run. And I heard that from like so many sources. It can't be false. So, okay. I guess they care a little bit about the ongoing price of them, because the longer they can keep a box above 110 box EV, the longer people will buy them and open them, and the more waves they can do. But I don't know, with COVID, I mean, are second waves even realistic? Is the time delay too long? I mean, that's what I'm thinking. Lately, things aren't really working the way they did 2 years ago. So, I mean, I'll just kind of leave that one as mystery. Next up, some guy in a suit and tie, so we're back to probably the douchebags, is asking, one of the things I like most about the set is how different the color pairs, especially Lorehold. God, kiss his ass some more about Lorehold. Feel from their traditional mechanical niches. Wait, why did I read that like some British douche? I always say niche. Niches. F you, fight me. You know what? If you think it's coupon instead of coupon, I will fight you. Go to dictionary.com and hit the little announce it for me button. F you. Anyway, is this something we could expect more of in the future? Oh, new creative ideas and new interpretations of color identity? I wouldn't even put it past them to say no, but every time they say yes, they just remake Boros and they remake Simic and I mean, come on. I thought there were subtle enough differences that I'm like, okay, I get it. It's a different thing, but at the end of the day, do you care about the lore or do you care about color identities and the color pie? And the colors acting the typical way that they do without swerving too much out of their lane? You know, just saying, like, I'm all for seeing the same thing over and over and over, but what I think they need to do is more monocolored sets with monocolored mechanics. So his answer is that depends a lot on how you all feel about it. If you enjoy us pushing in new directions with our draft archetypes, let us know. It's definitely something we can do. Okay, there is so much to unpack there. I don't even want to get into it, but giving white and green purposely and knowingly, because Mark did say this, that this was their goal, giving them more card draw was a disaster. Blue is the card draw color, and they get more cards because all their cards are weak ass shit. Their creatures are garbage and they burn through control spells like they're, trying to light their hand on fire. So they get more cards because they need it. Green does not get more cards because their cards are the most powerful creatures in the game. Red doesn't get more cards. Thinking back to some ban-worthy and banned cards in the last 3 years. Red should not get more cards because they will use them irresponsibly to burn you on turn 4. Or to ambush blitz you and boost creatures and first strike you and all this other crap. So yeah, white, already the second strongest creatures in the game, like combat-wise, because they do all the combat tricks, plus life gain, plus a high density of flyers. Like I said, they're the second best equipped after green. Giving that card draw? I mean, life gain? Like the thing that's single-handedly keeping you from losing the game, your life total? You're gonna put card draw on top of that? How'd that work out for you? No, I think the colors should stay in their lane, actually. So instead of, oh, we'll make Lorehold the spell spammy one, which I mean, it's a spell spammy set, so okay. But doing that instead of, well, in addition to blue, red, well, gee, then everybody just drafts those 3 colors, red, white, and blue. And then they get overpowered crap. So it's like, no, the single color identities and the way they typically play should really be pretty tight. You can get all creative with the lore and create new races and new histories and new reasons that they're using the ley lines in the way they do. And I mean, do like charge counters and lore counters and, you know, the Aether and treasure tokens, all this other crap. Like, do all that. But like, keep the colors in their lanes. I mean, that's been really the problem in the last, for sure, year. So next up, a new squirrel was just spoiled. Did I miss that? Oh, well, this was posted April 2nd, so honestly, yeah, it probably was. I don't know. Is the tide finally turning? Squirrel emoji. Which I was about to say, that's a chipmunk. I'm from Wisconsin. Don't even try with me. And then he says, parentheses, my phone only has a chipmunk emoji for some reason. That is straight discrimination. Oh, it says it was sent by the Twitter web app, which I assume is just I opened Chrome on my Android phone and went to Twitter because God knows I'm not going to let their spyware onto my phone. If so, smart man. So his answer is the tide is turning, the squirrel haters are gone, and it's a bright new squirrely day. Thank God, let's see some more squirrel support. Next up from the same person, how much of Kasmina's character was decided on when she appeared in War? Nobody read the book and I literally know nothing about her. So it's like, you could have told me anything about her and I'd buy it. I recall you saying that she was to appear in Eldraine at one point. I believe that is true. Would her story role have been similar there? Wasn't she a teacher? My guess would be no. She didn't open a schoolhouse in the woods and teach farm children like Hansel and Gretel. I mean, I didn't read any of Strixhaven's lore yet either. We'll see if I even get around to it. So, I mean, anyway, we knew Kasmina was going to be tied to the magic school world from her very creation. Oh, that's unexpected. Notice her War of the Spark Planeswalker card has a wizard-making ability. Oh, for a while, we did consider having Kasmina play a role in the Throne of Eldraine's story, filling the role of a Merlin-like character. Okay. But that changed as the story got fleshed out. Yeah, you replaced him with some Metro Korean shirtless guy. And as we all know, that went really well. And of course, he's a rebel. He left his home plane because of discrimination. And while he got discriminated again pretty hard by the fourth wall here, so or the folks on the other side of the fourth, you get it, the community, real world. Oh, so in the movie, The Never Ending Story, okay, the little kid reading it, okay, if he was like, oh, Oko, yeah, that guy, like, that's what went down. And finally, the last question. Was there and or what was the discussion on the level of puns in card names? Oh my God. They went so freaking wordplay and pun crazy in the damn flavor text. It's to the point where they were actually like crossing the line and like disrespecting the set. Not that I give a shit. I'm just saying, like, they're almost like a parody of a Hogwarts thing, which clearly it was. But it was supposed to be serious. Like, there's a serious threat, and the Mage Hunters and the whatever the hell cult. Oh yeah, the quinoa cult or whatever I call them. Wait, no, the Corsi and the squid faces. I should read the story. So all these like puns and stuff, it's like I could appreciate it on 1 or 2 cards, but they went like ballistic with these dumbass dad jokes. It was so cringe, and it just projected like, we're not taking this seriously. Ha ha, this character on the card, we don't take them seriously. This circumstance, this important story point on the card, we don't take that seriously either. It's like for the lore monkeys, you know, that's kind of offensive. I could care less, but it's just from like a commercial and PR standpoint, I wouldn't have done it. So he goes on to ask, these names are easily the closest black border has ever come to silver borders, tongue in cheek. Damn right. Not just card names, though. I can't even think of really card names. I mean, multiple choice, I think, or something of a pop quiz. Well, I mean, those could happen, but the way they worked was like silver. But then, oh my God, half the flavor text was straight off an unset card, aka silver borders. So, okay. This is interesting. I'm glad I saved this for last. And by that, I mean, Mark, I'm reading these in order. He says, there's been a conscious shift on the creative team that we can be a bit more lighthearted. Okay, a bit more. You went so far into jumping the shark with this shit. Y'all got to pull a 180 and reel it back in because you are like literally disrespecting Magic. And I've heard some comments from some people like, if they aren't even taking it seriously, why should I even read the lore? If they're just going to make fun of it and kind of, ooh, tongue-in-cheek, haha, it's a Hogwarts ripoff, then why shouldn't anyone else say the exact same thing? Why would anybody take it seriously as a serious story? They at least have to pretend to care, and if they want to put a couple play on words or like a silly character on a card doing something or saying something silly, okay, great, but like, man. So even puts, we're going to be a little bit more lighthearted where appropriate with creative text, aka names and flavor text. It's a change I'm quite happy to see. Yeah, because you think everything's funny and everything has to be a joke. We know that. You're the trickster and the jokester and the court jester at Wizards. That ain't news. So that's it for Mark Tries to Justify All the Crap in Strixhaven. This was a lot more interesting, especially at the end, than the last one. Got some pretty significant revelations, like how it was just a coincidence that Mystic Archive popped in. It was a coincidence that Ward popped in. I mean, that's wild. I would have thought it's, oh, let's save this for the Wizard versus Wizard one. He's just like, no, we settled on this, it works, let's throw it in. That's probably the wildest thing from all this. That's my biggest takeaway. So, yeah, definitely some cool stuff. So we've stuck with this the whole time. First of all, if you watch a damn 40-minute video by me, I mean, and you aren't subscribed, like, at this point, I mean, like, if you watch 40 minutes and you're like, I never want to see anything from this guy again, but I did watch the whole video, what? I mean, 5 minutes in, you'd be like, this guy, and just go read the article yourself. I mean, you have to subscribe if you made it this far. It is mandatory. I'm going to force you to do it. I'm not letting you leave until you hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed. I'm just saying. And then immediately unsubscribe because Magic's dying and go subscribe to Emergency Survival Tips, my 5th channel, the one I actually give a shit about, and Desolator Gaming. That one's actually still getting solid views every day, which I'm kind of surprised about. Next AAA game, I'm going to hit it hard. I was very disappointed by Cyberpunk, but one of my videos got 22,000 views in one day. I mean, if I hadn't made such a devastating incorrect statement in the video, I wouldn't have deleted it. But yeah, I basically, 1 or 2 of my videos, some of the glitch videos, they went full viral on that channel. That's a new channel. So there's some potential there, and there's some potential in the ad rates that I'm seeing on my 5th channel. So my 4th, 5th channel are my like abandoned ship lifeboats right now because this channel is sinking. But I would appreciate, no joke, like a sub on this channel. I'm also just going to keep, uploading dumb meme stuff, jokes, and like, just news coverage and like whatever, like just neutral stuff that people like. So, yeah, you should stick around for that. So thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll see you guys next time.